present here to you guys Prism, which is the preferential return of investment soft cap multi-stakeholder model or framework. We are applying as a collaboration between Relab, the regenerative organizations laboratory, and RNDAO, which Katerina is also here and she's a member of. And what Prism is a pragmatic legal financial framework for stakeholder alignment, right? And the context of why we're applying to this is basically, fundraising. The biggest way to fundraise is to raise investment from investors, and at the core of corporate law, across the world, there's the idea of a misalignment between the interests of investors and the potential interests of the other stakeholders, clients, providers, collaborators of a project, and even founders if they're mission-driven, purpose-driven. Specifically, when you think about AI, we're thinking about the existential risks and the conditions that are necessary for a beneficial singularity that might be, at odds with the institutional investor's fiduciary duty to maximize profit return. So our solution here, right, is a system that is incentive design based on incentive alignment, right? And Prism was designed a lot inspired by this, which is the economics of the OpenAI and Microsoft deal. I don't know how many of you guys have seen this before, but they basically, the OpenAI nonprofit had to reach a compromise into raising money to pay for the server costs, but they wanted to do it in a way that it can preserve kind of like the ethics of it. And they created this kind of tiered structure. So in the beginning, once OpenAI starts to give profit, it's paying the initial investors until they get 1x return on their investment. Then it goes to phase 2 when it's trying to pay Microsoft, which is the seed, the Series A investor, until they get 1x return. And then the other 75% or the other 25% is going to pay employees and the other investors. Then it goes to the third stage where it's trying to pay down the cap. So there's a fixed multiple of return, right, to all the money that the investors are putting in. And the investors never actually are shareholders, right? So they basically have a loan agreement with a multiple of return to their contract. And then ultimately, when all the investors are paid down, 100% of the profit goes to the OpenAI nonprofit, right? So this way, they are able to retain the governance, right? Because the shareholders are never actually shareholders, they're just investors from a loan contract. And they can, at the end of the process, once the return on investment has been paid, they can funnel all the resources into an ethical, purposeful way that's aligned with their mission. What's the problem here with this model that they used? Well, the return on investment that Microsoft got is 100x of return, which is basically, infinite return if you think about it. And they have a lot of governance rights still, right? So the way that they structure the governance, they have a lot of veto power on a lot of decisions. So what we are doing here with Prism is proposing, right, like an improvement of that and a template that can be replicable for many types of research teams, entrepreneurs that are trying to use AI in a way that generates that coherence and alignment between the interests of the funders and the better interest of all the stakeholders there and humanity at large. So what we do is we separate governance and financial rights. We consider all the different stakeholders. We limit returns, but not entirely. So there's a soft cap model. That's where the S comes from. We do progressive decentralization, and we are very agnostic and flexible in terms of jurisdiction and types of organizational designs and specific projects, right? So this could be applied both for AI and also for, like right now I'm working with agriculture entrepreneurs, with, software entrepreneurs, with crypto entrepreneurs, with, GovTech here in Brazil. And how we do that, in the financial sense, we end up with something like this, which is this kind of flow of profit that's, paying down all the different kinds of stakeholders until you kind of reach this last stage, right, where you have in perpetuity kind of a foundation or a commons or a co-op or a DAO of some sort, ends up being the locus of governance and where all the profit is accruing. So then it can be distributed and reinvested and applied in ways that are beneficial and aligned with the mission. And so, yeah, this is kind of the crux of the financial part of it. And then in terms of the governance progression, right, like you consider the kind of what is the priority for the different stages of the organization, right? In the beginning, you're looking for that kind of product market fit, and you want to have a board seat appointed by investors with some kind of power, but not too much that they can, sway the direction of it in terms of their personal interest. You can have a board seat member that's appointed by an external organization, like, SingularityNET could have a committee that appoints for AI startups and whatnot, or B Lab or Relab. And then you progressively decentralize it, including clients, providers, employees. Eventually, you reach the final stage where the foundation or that final locus, final organization, is where the governance happens and where all the financial benefit is accrued. Our proposal is an 8-week sprint with 2 people working 30 hours per week, particularly to research exactly how Prism could be applied to the AI scenario. Right, I said I'm working right now. We at Relab have been working with 5 different entrepreneurs in Brazil, Germany, Turkey, and the USA in designing this together with their lawyers, together with the investors, in bringing this to reality. We've been doing that since May, more or less, and we're in different stages of progression in different jurisdictions. And I personally would love to collaborate with the community in this issue that I think is so relevant for AI alignment. And going to the crux of it, and what I'm seeing in a lot of projects, is this like tension that ends up happening between investors' interests and the conditions for a beneficial singularity to happen. What we will do is interview stakeholders, do a deep dive on current literature ideas, and a lot of prototyping, modeling, and developing of the tools. Then we would hope to publish a report with all the knowledge that we amassed throughout these 2 months. Design essential elements clauses for the legal documents that would enable Prism for AI, and to have a first prototype of an economic modeling tool, kind of like a cap table management tool for Prism for AI, that then could be, Creative Commons used by the community and interested parties, investors, entrepreneurs, researchers, and teams alike. That's it. I have no idea how much time I have left, but I tried speaking as fast as possible, and I hope this was interesting. I'm going to share the link for the proposal on the website, the chat here for you guys, and I would love to hear your comments, thoughts, and yeah, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.